All right, here we go. Welcome into Philadelphia 76ers Now by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and as always, we appreciate you for making today's show a part of your day. And coming up, we're going to put together the perfect offseason plan for the Philadelphia 76ers to get them back to championship contention, to get them past the second round for the first time since 2001, and with Philadelphia being equipped with the most cap space in the NBA going into this massive and pivotal offseason, a lot of moves that Daryl Morey and this front office can make. First, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're only getting started with our offseason coverage. All of our content is free, and we aim for it to be as informative, insightful, and as engaging as possible. We want you to become a more informed Sixers fan. So if you want consistent coverage year-round, this is your go-to spot. We're approaching 15,000 subscribers, by the way. Can we get there with this show? We're only 96 people away. Lock us in. As for the Sixers offseason profile, this really sets the table for our entire conversation here today. Philadelphia projected to have $55+ million in cap space. They can get that figure up to $72 million. For instance, if they decline that second year for Paul Reed's contract because Philadelphia did not make it to the second round, if they did, it would have become guaranteed. They can free up $8 to $9 million. Philadelphia also, as far as their draft capital is concerned, holds the 16th overall pick right outside of the lottery. And Daryl Morey said today in his postseason press conference, he's really excited about that selection because you can get a pretty good player there. And then Philadelphia, early in the second round, 41st overall. You can also package those picks for a player via a trade. The current roster, it's pretty crazy here. Joel Embiid, Paul Reed, non-guaranteed, Ricky Council, and Jeff Doughton. So this roster is going to look a lot different for the 2024-2025 season compared to what it just looked like against the New York Knicks to end the season as Philadelphia ousted in the first round, once again in heartbreaking fashion. Without further ado, our step-by-step perfect offseason plan. And a lot of people are going to be excited about me saying this. Some people are going to say, you lost me by talking about LeBron James. LeBron James, in my opinion, if you want to win an NBA championship, is the best free agent option for the next year or two. It also gives you team flexibility if you only have to sign him for a year or two. I get it. He's going to be 40 years old in December, and some of his antics are tiresome. He hasn't won a title in a long time, and he's been a championship ring chaser. But that's what the Philadelphia 76ers are trying to accomplish. And if we're talking about overall basketball fit and the culture needing to change, which there are signs that's happening with Nick Nurse and Tyrese Maxey having the vivacious personality that he has, LeBron James is the number one option for me. Look at the numbers that he put up this past year in 71 games played. Still durable, still highly productive. He put forward one of his best seasons ever. 25.5 points per game, 7+ rebounds. Still a great creator as well, with more than 8 dimes per night. Very efficient. 54% from the field, 41+% from three-point range. That three-point number, one of the best of his career, and the field goal numbers, top 5, top 10 of what has been a historic future Hall of Fame career as he came into the league in 2003. I also think to what Daryl Morey said in his postseason press conference. What do we want? We want a wing who can score in the playoffs. Goodbye, Tobias Harris. Hello, LeBron James, Jimmy Butler, Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant, Paul George. I think those are the types of players that Daryl Morey has his eye on. LeBron's contract projection, again, it would be a short-term deal that gives you flexibility on the back end. 2 years, around $100 million. Can you imagine replacing Tobias Harris with LeBron James and how much better Philadelphia would have been in this first-round series? They could have maybe sat Joel Embiid for a game or two, knowing that you have LeBron and Maxey in the chamber. This gives you so much lineup flexibility, gives you so much more depth, and so much more firepower. I'm about it. Chip, what do you think?
I'm absolutely about it, 100%. I know people are going to say LeBron's not leaving. if he does leave, he's not going to Philly, or I don't want LeBron on this team, too old, this and that. Look, this is our perfect offseason plan, right?
Yeah.
So if we could choose whatever we want to have happens, I want LeBron 10 times out of 10. There's no reason to me where if LeBron comes to the Sixers and says, I want to play for the Sixers, I'm putting Bronny to Nova, we're coming over here, I want to play for the Sixers, you cannot say no. A trio of Maxey, Embiid, and LeBron, are you kidding me? And then the players as well that would want to follow LeBron to Philadelphia for that chance to win a championship, a chance to play with LeBron. It's not just what you're getting with LeBron, you're going to get guys that want to play with LeBron as well. It would truly, I think, be a great fit between the three of them. And if I'm Daryl Morey and LeBron's out there and he's available, I'm making this move, 100%.
It also makes Philadelphia the most interesting team in the entire NBA. You also want a player who can guard Jalen Brunson from time to time, not named Kelly Oubre or Nick Batum, two players who I'd like to see come back. LeBron can handle those duties still at that age. Now, if you're not about the LeBron life, here are the other top free agent options for Philadelphia here. You could go with Paul George, who, according to Shams Charania, could hit free agency because the Clippers have offered him multiple deals below the max, and he wants a max, 34 years old. Klay Thompson, also an older player, but how much could a shooter have helped you against the Knicks? And then if you advance, how much can a shooter help you alongside the ball-dominant Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid? He obviously has the championship pedigree, too, winning 4 titles with the Golden State Warriors. You want some more length and just a freakish lineup from that regard? You could go the route of Pascal Siakam, who, I have to be honest, was terrific in the first-round series against the Milwaukee Bucks, even though Giannis and Dame were banged up. And then there's DeMar DeRozan, who I'm just going to pass on because other than scoring inside the arc, doesn't really give you anything offensively or defensively. There are also trade targets here who could be had. Zach Lowe, ESPN, saying that Daryl Morey is going to be a vulture looking for a player like Kevin Durant. How about Pat Riley saying, if you're not playing, then you should shut up about the opponents that we take on, when referencing Jimmy Butler's comments about the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. It's pretty crazy. Things could get dicey down in South Beach, and could Jimmy Butler want to reunite back with Joel Embiid, who he's best friends with? Another older player, though. Brandon Ingram is younger. He's 26 years old, but that's that wing. Does he have the personality traits, though, to play in the pressure cooker that is Philadelphia? I'm not sure. Donovan Mitchell, now that the Cavs won that first-round series in 7 games against the Orlando Magic, I'm not sure what his future is. If the Cavs were ousted in the first round, he'd be hot on the trade talk streets. Now I'm not as sure. And then Lauri Markkanen is a player who a lot of Sixers fans would really like. He gives you shooting, some playmaking as a big. Is it Al Horford all over again? I don't think so, because I do think Markkanen would be a better fit. As far as our step number 2 for our perfect Sixers offseason plan, you got to extend Tyrese Maxey. And we know that this is a foregone conclusion that he's going to get a max deal with Philadelphia. It's inevitable. It's a matter of when, not if. His contract projection, he's going to make about the same amount of money as Tobias Harris in the early going and be so much more impactful than Mr. Crumble Cookie. For 2024-2025, he'll play at a number of about $35.5 million, according to the projection that we have. In 2025-2026, goes up to 38 mil, then 41 plus, 44, nearly 47. In totality, that would be a 5-year, $205.9 million contract. If you're a real one, you've been with us since day one, or at least a long time. I told you Tyrese Maxey was going to be able to take that Jamal Murray-like leap. I've been on him since the Sixers took him in the first round as a player that I thought had something special. He displayed that in that series, especially against the Atlanta Hawks. Another heartbreaking loss. But look at the development that we've seen throughout his entire career. It has been incredible. And the leap that he took in 2023-2024 makes you confident that if you're going to give him that max, 5 years, well over $200 million, you're going to make good on that investment because the dude loves to hoop. He loves ball. He's been extremely durable. He can play so many minutes per night, and he's only going to continue to get better. The consistency with the three-point numbers has been terrific. And then you see the points per game. 8, 17.5, 20.3, 26. The dagger at MSG in Game 5. He is a star, and he's a perfect player for this organization. Now, coming up next, how can the Sixers fill out the roster outside of the Maxey extension and going big game hunting for a LeBron, Paul George, Kevin Durant, or some of those other players? Stay tuned to find out as part of our perfect offseason plan. But first, today's 76ers Now is sponsored by Prize Picks. Easy and exciting daily fantasy. You pick 2 or more players. You choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 25 times your money. You can also get a $100 deposit match at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Our selections for Pacers Knicks. I do like New York to win that series in 6. Obi Toppin, former Knick, more than 14 points and rebounds combined. He was really good in that first-round series. Tyrese Halliburton, more than 9.5 assists. Fastest pace against the slowest pace. I think that leads to him being able to distribute the basketball. And then Isaiah Hartenstein, more than 22.5 points, rebounds, and dimes. Win big money, withdraw your winnings, all within the app. Pick more, pick less. Pick Prize Picks today. prizepicks.com/CLNS. At number 3, work on the depth. Work on some of the re-signings. And if you can't land one of the marquee players that we passed along a little bit earlier, it's important to bring in these depth pieces. Even more important to fortify that depth. Guys that we want back. Kyle Lowry and Cam Payne as the backup ball handlers outside of Tyrese Maxey. It worked well this past year, and I think it can work well again. What's great about those two players, they're tough, they have swagger, they have confidence, they can play in the city. Again, that's important. That's something that the Eagles look into as an organization. Model it after them. Ben Simmons could not. That's why he's out of here. James Harden could not. That's why he's out of here. Tobias Harris could not. That's why he's gone. See it crumble. Kyle Lowry campaign, though, outside of Tyrese Maxey, they can play on ball, they can play off ball, and they're going to be affordable. Joel Embiid really wants Nick Batum back. If he's willing to continue his career as that stretch 4 who can hit the 3, quick trigger, play good defense, smart player, has played in a lot of big games, NBA, internationally with Team France, I want to see him back because that's a foxhole guy. And then Kelly Oubre Jr., you're not going to get him on the vet min. You're going to have to pay him a little bit more. Josh Harris, go into the tax if you need to. Stop being cheap. It's time to win ball games and titles, okay? Kelly Oubre can help you do that. Very good depth piece, can be a fringe starter, athletic wing. How cool was it to see an athletic wing who could play on both sides, who could drive to the cup, hit the occasional 3, and defend at a pretty high level, get out in transition, make things happen. And that type of personality, him being positive, uplifting, important given the history of this organization. I'd like to bring these players back. If the price is right, Buddy Hield, DeAnthony Melton, although Daryl Morey did say Buddy Hield did not fit in as well as we thought he would from a basketball standpoint. We thought when Embiid came back, he would get a lot more open looks. He did not. I think the writing is on the wall that Hield is not going to return. DeAnthony Melton, the back scares me, right? Any type of back issue scares me. I think that he can get a bag or at least a good contract playing elsewhere because he's a very good two-way guard. You really only need one of those two. If you don't re-sign any of those players, there are players on this list who I really, really like. And I would put Malik Monk in his own stratosphere, in his own category. He can make it happen off the dribble. He's a flamethrower from deep. He has increasingly improved his game. He would be a tremendous addition to this basketball team. You're going to have to invest in him, and maybe you invest in Malik Monk over Kelly Oubre, but I'm fine with that, honestly. You got to make up for it other ways defensively, but Malik Monk would be a tremendous addition. Other players on the list, of course, and they all fit different roles. Gary Trent Jr., Malik Beasley, Tyus Jones, Gary Harris, Royce O'Neal, Obi Toppin. Derrick Jones has been a revelation. I think he gets the full mid-level exception with Dallas, Chris Dunn, and then Goga Bitadze. Those are other players who can make sense for Philadelphia. Can we finally get a legitimate backup center? Outside of the half season that the Sixers had Andre Drummond, it's been an issue. And I don't want to see the corpse of DeAndre Jordan or an undersized Paul Reed. You need a legitimate backup center, not Greg Monroe playing for this team back in 2019. The list goes on and on and on. Dwayne Dedmon. You want me to continue? The point here being, get a legit backup center, because Daryl Morey also talked today, and this is something that we know. They need to manage Joel Embiid a little bit more in the regular season so that he doesn't always break down right near the finish line in the NBA playoffs. And if you have to play him 40, 50 games just so that he's healthy, that's fine. You know there's a chance he could get injured. And if he does get injured, you have to be able to rely on a backup center. And then, when Embiid is playing, in the NBA playoffs, you're getting gashed during the non-Embiid minutes. It won't happen as much with Andre Drummond. The issue with Tim, and there are a few of them, you can't play him at the end of games because he's a liability from the free throw line. But he's a great rebounder. One of the best rebounding bigs in the entire NBA. He's a good lob threat. He's a good defensive player. He plays with excellent energy. He was awesome behind Joel Embiid a couple of years ago. Then was shipped out as part of that Ben Simmons, James Harden trade. This year for Chicago, really good. 8.5 points, 9 rebounds, half block per night. I think those numbers can be even better knowing that you're going to sit Embiid, try to manage the minutes and the games a little bit more, or that he could miss some time. And if he misses some time, you're not going to be one of the worst teams in the entire NBA like you were this past year, Chip.
Yeah, and look, I love Paul Reed, right? I know Paul Reed's a fan favorite, and he's been up and down throughout his career here. It's very interesting because when he signed the extension, we saw the details where it was not fully guaranteed if the Sixers didn't make it to the second round. I kind of just thought of it as almost a foregone conclusion that the Sixers would make the second round of the playoffs, so I never really considered the fact that they'd be able to move on from Paul Reed. But now, non-guaranteed salary, clearly just, in my opinion, Paul Reed's not a center. I think Paul Reed should be playing the 4.
Yeah.
The backup 4.
I agree.
Now, you do open up about $8-9 million if you cut Paul Reed. And what if, say you don't sign a big-name free agent? I think if you do sign a big-name free agent, you don't really have too much money to work with. You might as well keep Paul Reed on the $8 million, and maybe you can sign an Andre Drummond for the minimum, and then have an Andre Drummond, Paul Reed, backup 4, backup 5. You have Batum in there as well, Oubre. You got some good front court pieces. But if you don't sign a big-name free agent, and instead you're signing guys like Malik Monk, maybe a Gary Harrison, you're signing guys where you still have some cap space available, maybe you need that extra $8 million that Paul Reed was making to sign a Malik Monk. So it's very, very interesting. I would love to keep Paul Reed because, again, he is still so young, and I think he does still have a way to go in his development. But for a team that is clearly in win-now mode, we saw Paul Reed just could not really hang with the Knicks' physicality and the Knicks' size.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Daryl Morey did kind of mention Paul Reed and said, along with rookie council, he's one of the 2 young players they have that they're developing. So I don't think Morey will move on, but it's something to monitor. It's something to keep an eye on. If it's me, though, I think I'd hang on.
Yeah, the issue, too, is that he's a 4 who also can't really shoot the basketball. So if you're a 4 in today's age and you can't shoot the basketball and you're a little bit undersized as a 5, that's a problem. I mean, look at the benefit of having Nick Batum as a 4 next to Joel Embiid because he spaces the floor, and it just doesn't make it as easy for other teams to double up on Joel Embiid. And coming in here at number 5, if you don't sign Andre Drummond, he's a little bit too pricey or he doesn't want to come back to Philadelphia, hear me out. Draft Zack Gideon. Zack Gideon could be available at the 16th overall pick, could be a borderline lottery selection. But the National Player of the Year this past year, I've warmed up on him being a solid pro at the next level. I think that he can give a team anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes per night. The stamina hasn't been an issue. Zack Gideon played pretty much every minute of the national championship. And in the games leading up to the Natty, they lost to a juggernaut in UConn. He was playing almost every minute. So stamina, like Joel Embiid's problem has been at times, is not an issue with Zack Gideon. I think he has decent touch. I think that he could develop a 15-footer from the free throw line. He was pretty effective. He shot more than 70% from the stripe this past year and is a big enough body where he could be really difficult to defend on the low block and just a handful. You look at a player like Zubac for the Clippers. He was excellent in that series. You look at how Joel Embiid is so difficult to defend. Mitchell Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, they can't shoot, but they have a role for the New York Knicks. So there are different bigs that you can utilize in today's NBA. And my goodness, the number's certainly there. 25 points per game, 12 rebounds, 62% from the field. And he's also pretty good rim protector too. That could be a solid backup behind Joel Embiid. Other options at number 16. A whole host of players here, really. Tristan da Silva, you saw him in the NCAA tournament run for Colorado. A big who's 6'9", who can shoot the rock. Kevin McCullough out of Kansas, good player. Khalil Ware, center, Indiana. Kyle Filipowski, center, Duke. He can get better with that three-point shot, but has touch from the outside and is a pretty good athlete who can do a couple of different things. A little bit small, but he can add to that frame. And then Duron Holmes, the center out of Dayton. Other options there at number 16. So that right there is our perfect 76ers offseason plan. And I want everybody to get in depth into the comment section. Scout, be a GM, be a coach, be an evaluator. What does your perfect offseason look like? You let us know. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.